So you want to be able to focus better while you're reading, but you're not sure where to start. Whether it's for a class or just for enjoyment, you find that whenever you're picking up a book and whenever you're trying to focus on whatever you're reading, you're having trouble and maybe your mind is wandering to other things, but at the end of the day, you just can't focus on whatever you're reading. And you can't sit down and read for long periods of time. And this could be for a ton of reasons. I don't think the reason is especially important as much as what we're going to do to actually fix this. So you can't read for long periods of time, what do you do? And all of this is going to be coming from personal experience. So I'm not going to be giving you some random advice that I looked up on the internet 5 minutes before filming this. This all comes from my life and things that have worked for me. And for this video, I want to focus on two specific pieces of advice. Now the first piece of advice is if you want to focus on reading, then you have to minimize the distractions and other things around you pulling your attention away. And this sounds super obvious, and you might think, well, duh, obviously. But despite people understanding that they have to get rid of distractions, the majority of people don't take the steps to actually do this. So I might say that if you're trying to read more, you shouldn't have your phone right next to you because it can be very tempting whenever you get a notification or whenever you feel tempted to go on Instagram and look at a reel. It's very easy to get your attention pulled away from the book. And it's very common that people will come up with excuses. For example, oh, I need my phone right next to me. You know, what if there's an emergency? Or I need to keep up with whatever's going on. So I just really need to have my phone next to me. It's not a distraction for me. However, you can't go 5 pages without picking up your phone and checking to see if you have any new notifications. And it's important that regardless of what the distraction is, that we try to minimize it. So if possible, turning off your phone, or even better, putting it in another room while you're trying to read can be super useful. And it's a little different with some of these other examples. So say you're in a place that's too loud and you can't really remove yourself from the situation. Maybe you find a different way to improve the situation. So for example, you invest in some earmuffs or some other way to block out the sound so you can focus. So the first and simplest step is just to acknowledge what potential distractions are around you. And it's the step that most people are just going to ignore because they think it doesn't apply to them. But I promise, if you just think a little bit about what is potentially distracting you from your reading, I think you'll be able to focus for much longer and get better quality reading done. And now my second tip is a bit more extreme, but it's still relevant. So if you really need to get a lot of reading done, especially for a class, so say you're in college and you really have to get just a ton of studying done, maybe the night before a test or something else like that, the best way to get a ton of reading done is to put yourself in an environment with the study material and quite literally nothing that could distract you. This is to say, finding a place, whether it's an on-campus building, a coffee shop, a bookstore, whatever else, where you quite literally have nothing else to do except for read. So what does this look like? Let's use the coffee shop as an example. So say there's a book that you're really trying to get done. You would go to a coffee shop with the book and you would make sure that you don't bring any distractions with you, so you wouldn't have your phone, or at the very least it would be turned off. You would also try to limit other technology, for example, your computer, because a lot of us might cope and go on our computer and say, oh, we're being productive, but in reality, you're just looking for more stimulation and other ways to get distracted. We're essentially trying to scope our environment to create a place for ourselves where there's quite literally nothing else to do but read. And again, this is more extreme and probably the majority of people won't really be able to do this. But if you try this little experiment, and bring yourself somewhere with such a minimal setup that you don't even get distracted by your music. You can't even switch tracks on your music because that's not even a factor. You're literally just there with the book you have to read and yourself. It is a great way to get some of the most productive reading of your life done. So again, the first thing you want to do is just become more mindful of distractions. Actually take some time to think about what is distracting you and how you can minimize these distractions while you're reading. And then the second, more extreme version of this is to actually go out of your way. Take a day, or maybe just a couple hours out of the way, and put yourself in a situation with just you and the book and nothing that could possibly distract you. And you will get incredibly productive reading done. You'll be able to focus for longer and get distracted less. Now, I hope you guys find these tips useful. If you like videos like this on studying and productivity for college students, I really recommend you subscribe. There's going to be a whole lot more videos like this soon, but until then, I'll see you guys.